The notification popped up on Elon Musk's phone at exactly 2:47 a.m. while he was tweeting about AI from his Austin mansion. Challenge accepted, 100 millimeters coding duel, 30 minutes, live stream to 50 million viewers. What Musk didn't know was that Ibrahim Traoré had been waiting for this moment for months, quietly building the most sophisticated AI system the world had never seen. In exactly 28 hours, the tech billionaire who revolutionized electric cars and space travel would watch helplessly as an African president coded circles around him, destroying not just his ego, but his reputation as the world's greatest tech innovator. But the real shock would come when Traoré revealed what he had built in secret, while Musk was busy tweeting. But to understand how the world's most powerful tech mogul ended up losing $100 million to an African president in 30 minutes, we need to go back to the moment when Musk's arrogance finally met its match. It started 3 days earlier at the Global Tech Summit in Dubai, where the world's billionaires gathered to discuss the future of technology. Elon Musk was delivering his keynote speech about Mars colonization when a question from the audience stopped him cold. "Mr. Musk," came a voice from the back of the auditorium. "You talk about advancing civilization, but what about advancing civilizations that already exist on Earth?" The question came from Ibrahim Traoré, who was attending as Burkina Faso's representative to discuss Africa's digital transformation. Most attendees barely knew who he was, just another African politician, trying to sound relevant in a room full of tech giants. "I'm sorry, who's asking?" Musk replied, squinting into the crowd. "Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso. I'm curious about your thoughts on using technology to solve problems here on Earth before we worry about Mars." Musk smirked, getting a few chuckles from the billionaire-heavy audience. "Look, I appreciate the question, but let's be realistic. You can't solve complex technological problems without the infrastructure and expertise. Maybe focus on getting reliable internet first?" The condescending response drew nervous laughter from the crowd, but Traoré remained calm. "Interesting perspective. What if I told you we've built our own satellite network using recycled SpaceX components that actually outperform Starlink in rural deployment efficiency?" The laughter stopped. Musk's expression shifted from amusement to irritation. "With all due respect, Mr. Traoré, building websites and calling it innovation isn't the same as actual technological advancement." "You're absolutely right," Traoré replied evenly. "Which is why I'd be happy to demonstrate actual technological advancement. Perhaps we could arrange a small competition." That's when Musk made the mistake that would cost him $100 million. "A competition? What did you have in mind? A coding challenge?" "Because I've been programming since I was 10 years old." "Perfect," Traoré said with a slight smile. 30 minutes of live coding, any challenge you choose. Winner takes $100 million for their favorite cause. The auditorium erupted in murmurs. Musk, caught off guard by the boldness of the challenge and unwilling to back down in front of the tech elite, made a decision he would soon regret. "You know what? You're on. But let's make it interesting. Live stream to the world, real coding challenge, no help. Deal." "Deal," Traoré replied simply. What Musk didn't know was that he had just challenged the person who had secretly revolutionized coding methodology while the world wasn't watching. Over the next 28 hours, news of the code duel of the century spread across social media like wildfire. Musk vs. Traoré became the #1 trending topic globally. Tech experts lined up to analyze what they assumed would be a one-sided demolition. "This is embarrassing," tweeted former Google CEO Eric Schmidt. "Musk is about to destroy some poor African politician, should have stayed in his lane." "Feel bad for Traoré," posted Mark Benioff. "Good cause, but he's about to learn why Elon is Elon." The betting odds were brutal, 500 to 1 in favor of Musk. Nobody gave Traoré even a remote chance. But while the tech world was busy writing Traoré's obituary, something very different was happening in Ouagadougou, inside a secret facility that looked more like NASA than anything you'd expect in West Africa. Traoré was making final preparations for what he knew would be the most important 30 minutes of his life. Dr. Amina Kabore, Burkina Faso's head of cyber warfare, was running diagnostics on systems that would make Silicon Valley engineers weep with envy. Mr. President, all quantum processors are running at optimal levels. The neural network compilation system is ready. And the backup servers in Morocco and Kenya? Traoré asked, reviewing code on multiple holographic displays. Online and synchronized. If we go public with this technology tomorrow, it'll render most of Silicon Valley's infrastructure obsolete overnight. What the world didn't know was that while Musk was building rockets and cars, Traoré had been building something far more revolutionary. A quantum neural hybrid coding system that could write, debug, and optimize code at speeds that traditional computers couldn't even comprehend. Dr. Kabore, Traoré said quietly, tomorrow we don't just win a bet. We announce Africa's entry into the post-digital age. 24 hours before the duel, the location was confirmed. A neutral live streaming facility in London, equipped with identical high-end computers and monitored by independent tech experts from MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge. Musk arrived in 990, his typical style, private jet, Tesla convoy, social media team documenting everything. He spent the evening before the challenge tweeting confidently, excited to give this African leader a free coding lesson tomorrow. Maybe he'll learn something useful. Traoré arrived quietly, with just 2 advisors and a small duffel bag. When reporters asked about his strategy, he simply said, "We'll see tomorrow." But that night in his London hotel room, Traoré was having a video call that would have shocked the tech world. On his secure connection were the heads of technology from China, India, Brazil, and South Korea. The Americans have underestimated African innovation for too long, said Dr. Li Wei from Beijing. Tomorrow, you show them what continental cooperation can achieve. The quantum neural framework is ready for global deployment, added Dr. Raj Patel from Mumbai. After tomorrow's demonstration, we begin the new digital world order. What the world was about to witness wasn't just a coding duel. It was the unveiling of a secret technological alliance that had been developing for years, while Silicon Valley was busy talking about disruption instead of actually creating it. The morning of the duel arrived with unprecedented global attention. Over 50 million people tuned in to watch what most expected to be a tech execution. The venue was buzzing with cameras, streaming equipment, and some of the biggest names in technology who had flown in to witness what they assumed would be Musk's inevitable victory. Ladies and gentlemen, announced the moderator, former Apple CEO Tim Cook, welcome to what might be the most watched programming competition in history. Musk entered to thunderous applause, waving to the crowd like a rock star. He was wearing his signature black t-shirt and jeans, looking relaxed and confident. Traoré entered to polite but sparse applause, wearing a simple blue suit. He nodded respectfully to the crowd and took his position at the coding station. The challenge is simple, Cook explained. You have 30 minutes to build a fully functional AI system that can learn, adapt, and solve real-world problems in real time. The system will be tested immediately after completion. May the best coder win. Musk cracked his knuckles and grinned at the cameras. This'll be fun, he said, loud enough for the microphones to catch. Traoré simply powered on his computer and began typing. What happened next would be talked about in computer science classes for decades. While Musk started with traditional Python frameworks, typing furiously and occasionally pausing to think through complex algorithms, Traoré appeared to be writing in a programming language that nobody in the audience recognized. What is he coding in? Whispered Google's Sundar Pichai to Mark Zuckerberg. I have no idea, Zuckerberg replied, staring at Traoré's screen. That's not any language I've ever seen. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the MIT computer science professor serving as a technical judge, was equally baffled. His syntax appears to be creating its own compiling protocols in real time. This should be impossible. 10 minutes in, Musk was deep in the weeds of machine learning algorithms, his code looking increasingly complex and unwieldy. Sweat was starting to show on his forehead as he realized the challenge was more difficult than anticipated. Traoré, meanwhile, appeared to be having a conversation with his computer. Lines of code were appearing faster than any human could type, and his AI system was already showing signs of autonomous learning. "Hold on," said Dr. Mitchell, looking more closely at Traoré'S work. His system isn't just writing code, it's rewriting itself and optimizing its own algorithms in real time. The live stream chat was exploding with confusion and amazement. What language is Traoré using? This looks like alien technology. Musk is getting destroyed. How is this even possible? 15 minutes in, disaster struck for Musk. His AI system crashed during a complex neural network integration, forcing him to restart with only 15 minutes remaining. "Damn it," Musk muttered, loud enough for the microphones to catch. He was now visibly sweating and struggling to rebuild his system from scratch. Traoré, by contrast, was now testing his AI system, which was successfully solving advanced calculus problems, predicting weather patterns, and optimizing traffic flow in major cities, all simultaneously. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Mitchell announced to the stunned audience. "Mr. Traoré's AI system appears to be operating at a level of sophistication that we typically see only in theoretical research papers." With 5 minutes remaining, Musk's desperation was palpable. His rebuilt system was basic at best, capable of simple pattern recognition but nowhere near the advanced AI capabilities required by the challenge. Traoré's system, meanwhile, had begun what could only be described as technological evolution. It was creating subsystems, optimizing resource allocation, and even beginning to solve problems it hadn't been explicitly programmed to address. "Time," called Tim Cook. The testing phase began immediately. Both AI systems were given identical, complex problems to solve: optimize global supply chains, predict stock market fluctuations, and create personalized education programs for students in 50 different countries. Musk's AI system managed to complete basic versions of 2 of the 3 tasks, performing about as well as existing commercial AI platforms. Traoré's AI system completed all 3 tasks in under 2 minutes, then began suggesting improvements to the problems themselves and generated solutions to related challenges that hadn't even been asked. The silence in the room was deafening. "Ladies and gentlemen," announced Dr. Mitchell, her voice shaking slightly, "we have a clear winner. Mr. Traoré's AI system has not only completed the challenge but has demonstrated capabilities that exceed anything currently known in computer science." The tech billionaires in the audience sat in stunned silence as the implications sank in. Africa had just demonstrated technological superiority over Silicon Valley's finest, but Traoré wasn't finished. "If I may," he said, standing up and addressing the crowd, "I'd like to explain what you just witnessed." He walked to the center of the stage, and suddenly the giant screens around the venue came alive with demonstrations of technology that made every smartphone, computer, and AI system in the room look like Stone Age tools. "What you've seen today is the result of the African Continental Technology Initiative," Traoré announced. "For the past 3 years, 47 African nations have been secretly collaborating to develop quantum neural computing frameworks using resources and methods the developed world never imagined." The revelation hit the audience like a physical blow. Silicon Valley's entire business model was based on the assumption that they were decades ahead of everyone else. "While you were building social media platforms and electric cars," Traoré continued, "we were building the infrastructure for the next phase of human technological evolution. And we did it using recycled components, open source collaboration, and a fraction of Silicon Valley's budget." Elon Musk sat motionless, staring at the screen as the reality of his defeat sank in. He had been beaten not just individually but as a representative of an entire technological philosophy that was suddenly obsolete. "The $100 million will go toward providing this technology freely to developing nations around the world," Traoré announced, "because we believe that technological advancement should serve humanity, not just shareholders." The aftermath was swift and brutal for Silicon Valley's reputation. Within hours, stock prices for major tech companies were plummeting, as investors realized that the technological leadership they had assumed was permanent was actually already over. Musk deleted his Twitter account temporarily, reportedly telling associates that he needed time to reassess everything. Tesla and SpaceX stock prices dropped 40% in after-hours trading, but the real earthquake came 48 hours later, when Traoré announced that the quantum neural computing framework would be open-sourced and made freely available to any nation or organization committed to using it for humanitarian purposes. Today begins the democratization of advanced technology, Traoré declared in a follow-up global address. No longer will technological innovation be limited to those with the deepest pockets or the most privileged access to resources. 6 months later, Elon Musk would visit Burkina Faso hat in hand to request access to the African technological framework for his Mars colonization project. Traoré graciously agreed, on the condition that any technology developed for Mars would also be used to solve problems on Earth. The coding duel that was supposed to be a casual humiliation of an African politician had instead become the moment when the global technology leadership permanently shifted from Silicon Valley to a continent that had been systematically underestimated for decades. And it all happened because a tech billionaire couldn't resist the urge to publicly mock someone he assumed couldn't code. Sometimes the most expensive lessons are the ones taught in just 30 minutes.